There is a belief in Stoic philosophy that can change our frustrations into accepting things, our anger into understanding, and can assist us in using our limited time each day on important things that have a real impact and make a difference in our life. This philosophy encourages us to avoid wasting time on unimportant things. This is the Stoic idea of control. We can't always control what happens to us, but we can always choose how we respond to it. It's up to us to respond, and we can choose how to do so. Today, we will learn about the old Stoic philosophy and see how we can use it in our everyday lives. The philosopher Epictetus was born as a slave in ancient Greece. However, he was lucky enough to be allowed to study Stoic philosophy with the help of the philosopher Musonius Rufus. Epictetus became free when he was about 18 years old, after Emperor Nero died. He went to Rome and taught his ideas for 25 more years, until Emperor Domitian made all philosophers leave the city because he was afraid their independent thoughts might challenge his power. Epictetus moved from Rome to a new city called Nicopolis in ancient Greece. He lived a simple life there and started a school of philosophy. He taught at the school until he died from being old. Unfortunately, Epictetus did not write any of his thoughts and ideas on paper. However, we only have the work of one of his students, Arrian, who wrote down the lectures of Epictetus almost exactly as he said them. Arrian wrote 8 books, but only 4 of them still exist. These 4 books have some of the best practical philosophy from a long time ago. They are known as the Discourses of Epictetus. You can find a link to them in the description. One important idea in Epictetus' philosophy was having control over oneself. He believed that a happy life, which the Stoics referred to as eudaimonia, could be achieved by focusing on 2 things: understanding what we can and cannot control. We should concentrate on the things we can change and be okay with the things we cannot change. This distinction is important because no matter how hard we try or how upset and frustrated we feel, we cannot change things that are beyond our control. Trying to control things that cannot be controlled will definitely lead to feeling angry, frustrated, and like all efforts were pointless. However, living a life where we do our best with what we have is more likely to be useful, successful, empowering, and overall more helpful. In Stoicism, there is a concept called the dichotomy of control. It means that things are divided into what you can control and what you can't. Epictetus went even further and explained what things we have control over and what things we don't have control over. He also teaches us about the problems of spending too much time trying to change things that we have no control over, and the advantages of focusing on the things we can actually change in our lives. In his writing, Arrian mentions that there are some things we can control and some things we cannot control. We have control over what we think and do, as well as our own opinions, goals, desires, and dislikes. We don't have control over our physical appearance, the social class we were born into, what others think of us, or any awards or positions we may receive. When we focus on what we can control, we become naturally free, independent, and strong. Outside of that area, we are not strong, have restrictions, and rely on others. If you rely on things you can't control and try to take what belongs to others, you might make mistakes, get hurt, and blame others for it. But if you only pay attention to what truly matters to you and let other people handle what matters to them, then you will have control over your own thoughts and feelings. Nobody will be able to hurt or stop you. You will not hold anyone responsible, and you will not have anyone who is against you. If you want to be peaceful and happy, stop caring about things you cannot control. This is the way to be free and happy. If you want to have more than just peace and happiness, like power and wealth, you might end up giving up peace and happiness. You may also lose your freedom and joy while trying to achieve power and wealth. How can we make this Stoic practice part of our daily routine? A good first step is teaching our brain to quickly group the things around and inside us into two categories. Whether you are inside or outside, you need to learn to accept things as they are outside and take responsibility for everything inside. When we make a mistake, we experience pain or problems. And usually we experience pain in two ways or sometimes both. The first way is when we try to control things in life that we cannot change or affect. Other people and what they believe, think, do, and value, the weather, traffic, the economy, politics, time. Clearly, when we attempt to manage things that cannot be controlled, we are exerting effort towards something where we have no influence. As a result, we see very little or no effect, and it leads to feelings of being powerless, frustrated, anxious, ineffective, bitter, and angry. Basically, we experience pain and hardship. The second way we suffer is when we do not take responsibility for the things we can control. What we believe, what we think is important, how we see things, and what we do. When we refuse to take responsibility for these things, we cannot improve our situation because we are not using our energy in the areas where we can make a difference. We are still unable to move forward. People who are stuck here often express discontent, complain, blame others, grumble, and adopt a mindset of being a victim. It's not a good place to be. The concept of dichotomy of control helps us change the way we think in two important ways. When we know what we can't control, we stop trying to change it and save our time and energy. We understand and acknowledge it, and then focus on what we can change. When we understand and choose what we can control, our thoughts, principles, and behaviors, we can concentrate our efforts and time on working in these areas and making progress. This helps us work better and get things done faster. According to Epictetus, use what you can control wisely and accept whatever you cannot control. Practicing and making a conscious effort will help you develop certain ways of thinking. It may feel difficult at first, but eventually it will become easier and more natural. By using these ways of thinking, you will be able to make better decisions and live happier and more resilient lives. To conclude, in his book called A Guide to the Good Life, William Irvine examines this topic and explains the following. Don't forget that we have full control over the goals we decide to pursue. I believe that when a person who follows Stoicism focuses on things that they can influence to some extent, but not entirely, like winning a tennis match, they will be cautious about the goals they set for themselves. Specifically, he will be cautious to establish goals that pertain to himself rather than ones that relate to the outside world. So, instead of trying to win the tennis match, his goal will be to do his best in the match. By setting this goal, he will avoid feeling upset or let down if he doesn't win the match. Because winning was not his main objective, he won't consider himself a failure as long as he gave his best effort. He will remain calm and undisturbed. For example, Stoics would suggest that I should focus on whether my wife loves me, even though I can only partially control it. But when I think about this, I should not aim to make her love me. Even if I try really hard, I might not succeed, and that would make me very sad. Instead, I should aim to have a personal goal of behaving in a way that is loving and kind to the best of my ability. Similarly, I should try my best to do my job well for my boss. These are things I can accomplish regardless of how my wife and boss respond to what I do. By incorporating his goals into his everyday life, the Stoic can remain calm when dealing with things he can only partly control.